Let's go ahead and go over the GVC Compound Interest assignment. Remember, the questions will be different. They'll look different. They'll have different numbers, but they should be in pretty much the same order. This first one, suppose the dollar value of a certain car is T years and so on. We want to know the initial value of the car. If we remember, the initial value is always that first term, and then this is the rate, and this is the time. So we look at this and we say, all right, our initial value is this number right here, which matches right here. Okay, so we can type that directly in. The initial value of the car is $29,900. Is it growth or is it decay? Part of the way we tell is right here, the ratio. If it's greater than 1, then it's growth, or it's rising, it's getting bigger. If the ratio is between 0 and 1, a decimal or a fraction, then it's going down. Okay, so we look right here and we see the ratio. Well, right here, it's greater than 1, isn't it? It's 1.25. So if it's greater than 1, we know it's growing. By how much? The way to do that is to always find the difference between that and 0, or 1, excuse me. So how far away is that number from 1? And just imagine it as the absolute value, okay? There's no negative, it's just the difference from 1. So how far away is 1.25 from 1? Well, take that 1 away and it's just 0.25. So we can say it's 25%. And that's how you do that type of problem. Number 2 is a very similar problem. Okay, and yours might look different. Initial value, or initial temperature, the beginning, the y-intercept, the a sub 0, it's all the same. Our initial value is 25 degrees. And then that's our ratio. So is our ratio bigger than 1 or smaller than 1? And we see it's smaller than 1. That means it is decay. It's going down. Anytime it's smaller than 1, it goes down. How far away is this number from 1? It's 0.03. So we see 0.03, and we move the decimal twice, and we see it's 3%. So right here, I would just put in the 3%. So that's how you do that type of problem. Okay, the next section deals with story problems a little bit. Yolanda deposited $4,000 into an account. There's our initial amount. That's how much we're starting with. So we're just going to say it's y equals, and down here I'm just going to write the formula really quick. Y equals, and then we have our initial amount, or principal amount, or a sub 1, whatever it is you want to call that. And then we have our parentheses, and then this is always going to be 1 plus for any kind of savings account or anything that's growth. But if we expect it to go down in value, it would be 1 minus. And then we have our fraction, and our top number is always our percent. So we have our percent up here. And then down here we just have the number of times it's compounded throughout the year. Okay, so if it's monthly, it'd be a 12 or whatever. That's just a number compounded per year. We put the same number up here times the number of years. Okay, so there's our little equation. Let's look at it. Our first value, or our start value, is 4,000. Parentheses. We're depositing money into an account, so we would expect it to grow. So 1 plus, and then we have our fraction. top number is our percent, so it's 2.4%. We got to remember we got to move the decimal twice to the left so that we have it in decimal form, so 0.024. And it's compounded semi-annually. Semi-annually just means twice a year. Okay, and so that 2 goes up here as well. How many times, or how many years? 10 years, so 2 times 10. And so now we're going to type all that into the calculator, and we see we have 4,000, so 4,000, parentheses, 1 plus, and then here's where our fraction comes in, 0.024 divided by 2, parentheses, raised to the 2 times 10 power, enter, and we see a number here. Now, one thing we need to remember is we're dealing with money, so that's got to be cents, and so we look at this number. If it's bigger than 5, we round up. If it's, or 5, if it's smaller than 5, we round down. So we would see our final amount is, oh, I closed that before I could see it, is $5,077.74. And so we can type that right in here, 5077.74. And you need to be careful to round the right direction. So let's go ahead and look at the next one. Very similar question. Suppose that $2,000, so there's our initial amount, $2,000, y equals, and then we have our parentheses. And with our parentheses, we see that it's 1 plus. We see that it's going up, assuming no payments are made, so we are going to plus. We assume that amount's going to go higher. Then we have our fraction, 7.5%. Oops, I made the same mistake a lot of people make. You don't type the 7.5. Remember, it's 7.5%, so we have to move that decimal twice, and we get 0.075. And then we are compounding semi-annually, so that's twice every year. Twice every year, assuming no payments are made. How much money is owed after 9 years? So times 9 years. And again, we can now just put it onto the calculator. 2,000, parentheses, 1 plus, and 0.075 divided by 2, parentheses, raised to the 2 times 9 power, enter. And the final amount will be 3879 point, and again, we want cents, so we're looking here. This number tells us we're rounding up, so 0.86. And that's what number we can type in now, 3879.86, and we move on. Number 5. Again, very similar question. We're starting with $2,000, so $2,000, parentheses, 1 plus, and I see right here it's an investment, so we're hoping it goes up. That's why I use the plus. It's going up, we're hoping, at a 4.6%, and I did it again. Be very careful with that. You know, you can see even I can make a mistake here. So move the decimal twice. You have 0.046. And how much is it compounded? It's compounded quarterly, so there's 4 quarters in a whole, or 4 quarters in a year. So we're going to do that 4, and we have 6 years, so times 6. And then we look at our calculator, just enter it in. And if you don't have a calculator, there's plenty of calculators online, and I'll even put a link so that you can find one if you want. We have 2,000 parentheses 1 plus 0.046 divided by 4 parentheses, all of that raised to the 4 times 6 power, enter. And that tells us that the end amount will be $2,631, and according to that 7, we need to round up, so 55 cents. So 2631.55. Okay. Now the next type of question, and it might be the same type again. I think there's a lot of these. Let's look at this one. 8,000. So there's our starting amount. Then we have parentheses and 1 plus, because assuming no payments are made, so the amount of the loan is going to keep going up. What's my percent? It's 20%, so it's 0.20. Compounded semi-annually, so twice every year. For how long? 6 years. And we have our equation set up. And I can bring up the calculator and say, all right, we have 8,000 parentheses 1 plus 0.2 divided by 2 parentheses raised to the 2 times 6 power. And we see we have 25107, and because of that 7, we have to round up, so it's 0.43, not 42. And that's what we can type in, 25107.43. Okay, I'll do another example. 2,000, so we have 2,000 parentheses, and it's a loan, but we're not making any payments, so that means the loan amount's getting bigger at 18%, so 0.18 over compounded monthly, so it's compounded 12 times a year. We just copy that number up there, times 8 years. Enter all that into the calculator, and it will give you your answer. I'm just going to go ahead and move on. And I'll help you set this one up. $2,000 is invested, so we expect it to go up. 1 plus our percent is 0.043 over semi-annually, so 2 times a year, times 7 years. Type it into the calculator, and that will give you your answer. I'm going to move on. Okay, now I'll help you set this one up. Bill borrowed $8,000. So again, we start at the beginning, $8,000. 1 plus, he's not making any payments, so the amount of the loan is going to go up, so we use plus, at a rate of 10%, 0.10 over compounded quarterly, and that number gets copied up there, and 5 years. Okay. Gives you an idea on how to do this assignment. Let's see if the last one is the same type. And it is. So we have our, I'll just set it up for you. 2,000, our initial amount. 1 plus 0.185 over 2. And that 2 gets put right there with a 3 right after it. Hopefully this helps.